Now, clearly, Leanne has been needing that vitamin D. She's, calling dibs on every meal here. What are we supposed to be having after the show? Wow. Listen, Dr. Green, we were talking about vitamin D, how essential it is to ensuring the health of your bones and things like that. So what are the first signs that you would see on your body if you had a deficiency of vitamin D?
Yeah, so children get what's called rickets. And that's where the bone formation is actually poor.
Yes.
So the absorption of calcium, for example, that strengthens bone, is also dependent on the amount of vitamin D. So when you don't have enough vitamin D, you struggle to move around calcium and manufacture strong, well-architectured bone. So you might find deformities in the skeleton. You might find, for example, that people have a tendency to fracture bones. If the littlest fall, small bump, boom, they've got a crack.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And then vitamin D is obviously quite important when it comes to things like your cognitions, your mental health, and then skin conditions as well.
Okay.
So those are a few areas, just, obvious areas that one would miss them.
Would an inability to sleep properly be an indication of a lack of sun exposure or...
Yes.
What does that mean?
We always speak about sleep hygiene, and one of the things is make sure your room is dark enough.
Yes.
And the reason is simply, there's a pea-sized structure in the brain called the pineal gland. It releases a hormone called melatonin.
Okay.
Melatonin tells your brain that you're tired, it's dark outside, and you need to shut down. So when the light becomes darker and an absence of light, it stimulates that gland to release melatonin, and that makes you then want to sleep. Direct sunlight obviously does the opposite. It switches off that gland and to keep you awake.
Yes.
So it evokes a stimulated response. So then you want to stay awake, and it keeps you then alert, awake, and so forth.
Yeah.
So that's how light directly impacts sleep. And we need it, obviously, that combined with the feel-good serotonin effect of sunlight. So you can imagine you can fight a lot of depression and anxiety with exposure to decent sunlight.
Wow. We've got a call on the line right now. Asa from Cape Town. Esme, excuse me. Esme from Cape Town. Good morning, Esme.
Morning.
Good morning, Kat. Good morning, Dr. Green.
Morning.
I just want to find out the lack of vitamin D. I've been diagnosed with a lack of vitamin D, and I wasn't even aware of it, and I just became very ill. And then I went for blood test, and even though I was out in the sun eating the right foods, I still had a lack of vitamin D.
Good. So vitamin D, obviously, the synthesis of vitamin D, it gets manufactured or synthesized, as we said, due to sun exposure. It even has a role that the kidneys play in its manufacturing process. So quite complex. The ability to absorb vitamin D in the food that we're eating that was prepared here, like the fish, the oily fish, for example, is also crucial. So if she has an enzyme deficiency that prevents absorption of certain foodstuffs, might contribute to that. But also understand that the exposure to the sun that we talk about means that you mustn't have skin that is covered by clothing. You mustn't have sunscreen on when you do spend that time in the sun. And obviously the best time to actually get that is at midday, which is when a lot of people are actually working. Well, that's why if you do have a lunch break, you should actually try and get 15 minutes of sunlight outside, especially on your arms, exposure on your naked arms, and on your face.
Yeah.
If you're going to be in the sun longer than 15 minutes, obviously get the sun protective creams.
Yeah.
So for her, I would recommend obviously that, but there might be a lot more to it for her on a metabolic level that requires specialist intervention with a dietitian and a gastroenterologist to help her investigate why she can't up those levels.
Fantastic advice there from Dr. Darren Green, and we'll have more with him very shortly when we tackle the topic of skin cancer. Of course, a very big one when it comes to the sun. So give us a call on 083 9133 728. Right now, over to Zoe with some social media.